What's good, guys? Fantasy Joe back here with my Week 16 wide receiver rankings. If you guys are new to the channel, make sure you hit that subscribe button. Post a ton of content season long and in the off-season dynasty draft stuff, just getting you ready for the season, fun stuff to talk about. So hit that subscribe button if you want to bring that championship home this season. It's that simple, gives you that edge. And if you guys have any questions or comments, drop them in the comment section down below. I'll respond as always. Alright, so these are half-point PPR rankings as always. Number 1, Jamar Chase against Cleveland. Enough said. 2, Puka Nacua against the Jets. He's been getting a ton of targets. The Jets secondary has been really rough over the last 5 or 6 weeks. Puka's a star. 3, Justin Jefferson against Seattle. This is a good matchup for Jefferson, especially if Smith is able to play. That's TBD though. 4, Amon-Ra St. Brown against Chicago. Tough matchup on paper, but I think Amon-Ra gets moved around the formation enough that he's going to have a good day. 5, Devontae Adams against the Rams. He's been balling lately, and this is a good matchup for him, and that connection with him and Aaron Rodgers has been nice. 6, Nico Collins against Kansas City. Collins, honestly, I thought about putting a little bit higher. It'll really depend on who plays at quarterback for the Kansas City Chiefs as far as I feel like his upside goes. But Patrick Mahomes practiced in full today, so we'll see. Yesterday. 7, Mike Evans against Dallas. Evans is in ball, and I told you guys to go out and get him before the deadlines were over because of the stretch that he's got in the games that he's going to put up to win fantasy titles for people. 8, A.J. Brown against Washington. I told you he was going to get it going, and he did. Expect more of the same. 9, CeeDee Lamb against Tampa Bay. He gets enough targets. He can find a way to get there every single week. 10, T. Higgins against Cleveland. 11, George Pickens against Baltimore, assuming he's back from that hamstring pull. I know it wasn't what you wanted in the last Baltimore matchup, but I still think there are good things to come with how weak their secondary is and with the types of balls George Pickens gets targeted with down the field. 12, Brian Thomas Jr. against Vegas. I was low on this guy last week, and I paid for it. He was able to get the ball twice against the Jets for touchdowns. I think he's going to have a good game against Vegas. 13, Malik Nabers against Atlanta. Even with the quarterback change, he still had a good game against Baltimore. Had close to 100 yards, a touchdown. I think it was like 82 and a touchdown, something like that. 10 catches. So a good week for him, and I expect that volume to continue in a better matchup. 14, Tyreek Hill against San Francisco. At 15, we have DJ Moore against Detroit. Detroit's weak in their secondary, and they've had a lot of injuries on defense, so I'm definitely playing DJ Moore. 16, Cooper Kupp against the Jets. Awful game for him last week, put up a 0, but that's not Cooper Kupp. And 3 of the 4 games he had before that game were good, so I'm still betting on him. 17, Garrett Wilson against the Rams. He played well last week, and like I said, it's a good matchup for their wide receiver core. 18, Terry McLaurin against Philly. This is an awful matchup for him. That's why he's so low on this list. He's a top 5 wide receiver probably for me rest of the season. But excluding this matchup, I guess there's only 2 games left in the season, so it's really not saying much. But Terry McLaurin's been a stud, but this matchup does make me worry. 19, Zay Flowers against Pittsburgh. 20, we have JSN against Minnesota. JSN has been balling and been very consistent, which is nice. 21, Jacoby Myers against Jacksonville. Great matchup for Myers with the target volume that he receives. 22, DK Metcalf against Minnesota. He's been very disappointing lately. This is a really good matchup against wide receivers, but if DK doesn't get it going in this one, I'm very, very, very concerned for him. Even just going into next year, honestly. 23, Drake London against the New York Giants. Especially with the quarterback change, I think this will be good for Drake London. I think he's going to produce for fantasy football. I think Michael Penix is going to be pretty good. 24, Jawan Jennings against Miami. He's been the de facto 1. You can play him. 25, Lad McConkey against Denver. Tough matchup, but you can play Lad. He plays so much in the slot, too. I think that bodes well for him. Not going to match up with Pat Surtain. Jerry Jeudy against Cincinnati. The quarterback change, I think, definitely lowers Jerry Jeudy's outlook, though. 27, Khalil Shakir against New England. I just don't think they're going to throw a ton in this one, but Shakir's been a good play. 28, Jordan Addison against Seattle. This one was tough, too, because Jordan Addison's had just so many monster weeks and so many dud weeks. But I think he's borderline top 24 wide receiver. That's kind of how I view him. But I have no problem really playing him, especially in a fantasy playoffs. You need a big matchup. You need to put some points. I think he's a solid play. 29, Keenan Allen against Detroit. Great matchup. And 30, Jameson Williams against Chicago. I think he could have the potential to catch one of those long bombs in this one, especially if Jalen Johnson is on Amon-Ra St. Brown when he's on the outside. Get some good matchups with Jameson Williams on the 2, potentially. If you guys have made it to this point in the video, please hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. If you have any questions or comments, drop them in the comment section down below. I'll respond as always. This has been Fantasy Joe.